Welcome back to the garage, friends. Today we're going to be working on this first gen Tacoma, and I've got some really cool stuff to add to it today. Some more of an off-road modification, definitely an off-road modification, not really intended for on-road purposes necessarily. There is a feature that I guess you could totally be used for on-road features, and we'll get over that. But a company by the name of Novsight sent me out some 6-inch pod lights for the first gen Tacoma to install, give an honest opinion on, and we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be such a cool addition to this thing. I mean, honestly, I have some inspiration from a certain truck out there. I'll throw a picture of it. Shout out to the squirrel guys, but I really want to kind of add these lights in the same fashion they did. But first, let's go ahead and pop this open and take a look at them. Heading over to the workbench, we've got this lovely box. Absolutely love the packaging on this thing, just for starters. So you can open it up, and inside, right off the bat, we've got a whole bunch of information about the lights themselves. Some really nice decals. Actually, let's just open these up. I want to see what they all look like. You know, I'm a sucker for stickers. Sweet. Yeah. Nice. The Wrangler. Looks like a Land Cruiser. Little America. Actually, tomorrow is 4th of July, so happy birthday, America. And then we've got, is that a Suzuki Samurai? That's really cool. Yeah, that's a Wrangler. Oh, the license plate. I love it. That's awesome. So cool. Definitely find a good place for those. But underneath, remove the foam, we've got the 6-inch Halo pod lights. So I guess let's just kind of start from the beginning here. So right here we have the covers, which we'll do the most satisfying ever thing with. Ready? Heck yeah. Oh, so satisfying. So you've got blackout covers for the lights, just sit on top like that. We'll set those aside for now, and then actually we can pull this foam off, I think. And here we got the lights. So one more time. Oh yes. They come with, and we'll get into this, I'll demonstrate it on camera, but they have these amber lenses that you can put over them, just like you would the caps. And that is it. It's a 6-inch pod light. So what I went with was what I believe they call the combo beam instead of the spot beam. So the spot's gonna be, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's gonna be more like a ditch light, whereas these are more of a floodlight. Like it's gonna put out a wider spread of light, but it's not gonna go quite as far and be as direct, which I actually wanted for this car because honestly, I think it's a good starter light, and then I'll add possibly the ditch lights later on. So here we are. We've got, looks like 4 different LEDs in here, and then on the outside is a halo, which will be a lot easier to show once we actually turn them on, but that's pretty cool. And then these ambers just snap right onto place to change the color temp. But for now, that is what the 6-inch pod light looks like. Got a couple mounting holes there, and then you've got your pigtail, which looks, honestly, this wiring is pretty dang nice. So there's one. We've obviously got the second one, which is going to be the same. Inside of here we have our wiring harness, which we'll get into. I'm already noticing this pigtail has weatherproofing on it, which is very nice. We've got 2 what looks to be mounting brackets, and we've got our hardware. And then I wanted to showcase the underside of this cover. Has honestly a really nicely designed graphic, which kind of shows you all the parts that come with it, installation, where each piece goes. We've got voltage, color temperature, 6K or 1700K, which is going to be an amber. The lamp material is aluminum, and then we've got our basically dimensions there. And then this is what I was talking about. So the combo beam is, I believe, what I have, and the spot beam is going to be more like your ditch light, or a more straight, specific, directed light, whereas this is a little bit wider spread, but doesn't quite go as far. So again, really excited to put these on. I'm going to show you guys what I'm thinking about as far as mounting goes on this truck. I was thinking about mounting them to my roof rack and having them placed something like that, which I think looks really cool, definitely has potential, But what I'm also thinking is, one, it's going to be I'd have to like build some custom brackets to mount to those brackets to get them to mount to my roof rack. And then also a lot of people, at least from like other reviews that I've watched, people have said that having your lights up here will sometimes create a reflection on the hood and cause glare to the driver. With my truck being white in color, I think that's definitely a possibility. So here's what I'm thinking for the install. So due to my inspiration from Wilson, the squirrel truck, I'm thinking, hopefully I can set this up here without it kind of falling off. Let me just get this all situated. So this is kind of my plan. Actually, let me get this a little bit more centered. I think it's going to be maybe something more like that. It's not perfect, but you guys get the idea. And this is going to totally eliminate the whole reflection issue off of the hood. And I think it's just going to make for a more direct line of light that's going to be kind of equivalent to the headlights, except I'm assuming it's going to be probably a more effective light than what we have in here, especially for off-roading. So that's my plan. This bumper is the stock bumper. I just repainted it like maybe a month ago. It's pretty beat up and all the tabs are broken. It's definitely going to get replaced at some point with like a tube bumper and a winch and all that. And I'll actually have little tabs to mount stuff like this too. But for now, I think I'm just going to drill holes right where those are. I thought I was going to have to take the bumper off to do this because I wanted to get access to the metal that's underneath it. I obviously don't want to just tie these into this plastic cover, but there is actually a metal brace that goes inside of this bumper, which I'll actually be mounting these to. And looking underneath the truck today, I realized I can just do this with the bumper on, hopefully. So let's go ahead and get the old installation started. Certainly not the best angle, but I'm just laying underneath the front of the bumper here. So you've got the plastic, and then right up in here is the actual metal that I'm going to be trying to mount this to. So just wanted to show you guys what I'm talking about. There's a metal frame piece that runs all the way across that is attached to the plastic bumper. So we're going to drill through the plastic and then drill through this metal and then basically mount our nuts and bolts to mount the lights right there. So before I break out the measuring tape and figure out where these things are going to go exactly, I want to kind of assemble them. There's that's a nice bracket, nicely painted as well. 2 brackets. And I'll grab my little magnetic tray just so we don't lose anything. But we'll open up this bag of hardware, dump that out. Comes with a couple Allen keys. We'll just set those aside for now. And it may look a little messy, but this will all make sense due to the diagram. So these bolts supposedly are going to go directly through here, just like so. And then I know these nuts are going to go on the bottom of those bolts. And it looks like it's going to be probably these bigger washers there, followed up by these spring washers like that. Next, on each side, we're going to have one of these smaller bolts, spring washer next to that bolt, the regular washer on that. And it does mention in the installation video to put this bolt in first because it's going to be kind of tough to mount it once you actually have this attached to the light. So I'm going to take their advice there. And I'm noticing now it's got this part here, so I imagine that's to kind of swivel the light and aim it how you like. So that's pretty cool, pretty thoughtful. So we'll just kind of hand tighten these in for now. Now I've got everything just assembled but hand tightened on this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the other one off camera, and then we'll jump over to the bumper and start lining these up and figure out where we're going to drill our holes so that way we can mount these bolts here. All right, so don't mind the sweat on my bumper. It's always hot here in Tennessee. So I basically drilled the first hole off camera and just had to figure out the process. So basically, imagine on the underside of here is that metal bracket. I think it'd be easier just to use your imagination instead of me trying to get underneath the truck and show you in the dark. So imagine this bracket sits right about here, and it's got ridges on it. So I basically found a spot about 1 ridge in, and I tried to move it as far forward this way because this bracket ends probably about there or so. It doesn't come all the way out here. So I wanted to get it far enough out where the back of the pod light was not going to be hitting the grill. So I drilled my pilot hole, stepped up the bit size to get something close to the bolt, and then it was just a hair too small. So I just took the drill and did a little loop-de-loopy around there, and now the bolt will drop right in. So hypothetically, this should work just fine as long as I can replicate it on the other side. Now with both of the holes drilled out of the bumper, look pretty dang symmetrical, at least from my my eyesight. We can go ahead and drop this in and see what this looks like for the first time. Hey, I think this is going to work pretty dang well. So I'll just go ahead and get these finger tight for now, and then I'll figure out the wrench setup in order to tighten them, because definitely going to have to hold one side while I tighten the other. It's going to be that kind of deal. Oh, this is going to be interesting to do upside down. So my thought process is to wedge one of these wrenches up top here. I need a bigger wrench than that. Maybe a 17. Bingo. So I'm going to put a wrench up top here, and then as I spin it, it's going to want to just, or actually, I might even be able to just, yeah, hold on. I may just grab a really long extension here. Let me see what size bolt this is on the underside. Also a 17. So what I'm thinking is, let's see if this will reach. May need to go a little bit more extendo. Throw the double extension on. Want to just tighten up these side bolts here with the Allen. Yeah, just tighten them up with the Allens. That way we can kind of see what this is going to look like. I'll probably have to go back and adjust and aim them properly later. But to be real with you, that is probably easier done once the lights are on, and then you can aim the actual beam a little bit easier. So with the pod lights just hand tightened, we can get a good look at how they look. And honestly, I like them way more than I even thought I would. These look freaking awesome. I was worried that they would look a little too high tech with the crazy kind of geometric shape to them compared to the old, 98 Tacoma. But actually, I think it looks really dang good. And I wanted to kind of see what it would also look like if I take these covers off real quick and see what they look like with just no lens. Heck yeah. Guys, that looks freaking awesome. I'm so stoked with that. And then one more thing. Wanted to see what they would look like with the covers on. Oops, that is upside down. Let me do Novsight some justice here. Flip that around. Hard to do with one hand. Ugh. There we are. Ooh, that is satisfying. And honestly, I think some states, I think you have to have those covers on while you're driving on the road. I think it's maybe Virginia or something like that. So if any of you guys are in a state where having these off-road lights exposed is an issue, they've got you covered. They've got a little blackout, blackout curtains, blackout covers for the lights. But honestly, so far, I haven't seen them turned on yet, but I think I'm just going to be rocking them with the ambers. I think that looks really, really nice. I've kind of laid out or pulled everything out of the wiring harness bag, and I think it looks more intimidating than it is. I give you a bunch of zip ties. This is what looks to be a mounting bracket if you wanted to actually mount it on the inside, the controller on the inside of your dash, or looks like a double-sided sticky pad, which is probably what I'll do because I don't want to do anything too permanent and drill into my OEM dash. But it's cool that they give you both options. So this is going to be the controller. You've got two buttons, which we'll figure out how to use later. That connects to the main harness right here. And again, everything has a nice weather strip seal to it, which is really cool. So you've got your switch. You've got the two cables that run into each light. You've got, I'm assuming this is like a relay. And then here we have your positive wire, your negative wire, and then these two wires, the green and yellow, is what you can basically tap into. So that way, as soon as you turn on your daytime running lights, these will or I guess your regular headlights, depending on how you wire it up, this will basically turn on the pod lights automatically. So as soon as you flick your regular OEM switch, the pod lights will come on. I don't think I'm going to do that just because I like the idea of having full control over when they're on and off. I haven't decided how much I'm going to use them, how little I'm going to use them. Maybe down the line I'll go back and wire this if I decide to, but it's an option. Nonetheless, to do the install, really all we have to do is connect it to the battery. So that's pretty much it. I think the hardest part about this is going to be figuring out how to run all of the cabling in a very neat way. So let's jump to it. So all I did so far is pop off the grill because I think it's just going to make wiring these up quite a bit easier. So I'm obviously going to run them towards the battery, so they'll run this way. And then these two cables, which actually are really long, I'll have to figure out a good place to hide the rest of the cabling, but I'm going to somehow zip tie these all here, or maybe on the inside. I haven't decided yet, but that's the plan, is to run these into the pigtails. And then I will basically obviously mount the red and black to the positive negative on the battery. I'm going to hide this relay probably tucked next to the battery on this side. I'll just kind of zip tie it to the chassis. And then lastly, all we have to do is figure out how to run our controller in through the cab, or into the cab. I just disconnected it, so it was less wiring up here. But that's pretty much it. I know there's some factory grommets that we can pass through into the cab of the truck to basically figure out where we're going to mount the controller, but that's the plan. So I think I'm going to do this off camera because it's just going to be a little bit tedious and time consuming, and then I'll show you how it's routed once I get it all set up. So let's do it. So with the battery totally taken out, took the tray out just to make more room. I've got the pod lights hooked up. So let me just show you what we've got going on. So this one is traveling here, and then I just zip tied it to this little cross beam, and then the actual connector, it's hard to show you, but it's right there. And then this one, they both go into the same hole, which, let me see if I can show you this, is right down there. You can see one of the connectors chasing through that hole. And then this is from the flip side. So you can see, I mean, I wrapped both the wires up in this conduit to make it extra clean, but it basically just comes in right through that stock hole right there, and then is going to sit below the battery just here next to the headlight. And then following that conduit, you can see that it ends there, and that's where I basically hid the two bunches of wire that I don't need. I just don't need that much length, so I hid them in the fender well, zip tied those up. And then next we just need to probably put actually I may do the controller next and leave the battery out to give myself some more room. I also mounted that relay with a zip tie right there, again with stock body holes and a zip tie. I'm definitely a bit ADHD with wiring, like I hate excess wiring being everywhere, so I'm trying to do this as clean as possible, so when I put the grill back on, you really won't see these cables at all. You won't see the bunch of extra cable in there next to the battery because it's all hidden. In fact, with that conduit on there, it's just going to look OEM, which I think is going to look really nice. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it, guys. I'm going to do the solar, gosh, my mind is just on camping right now. Not solar controller, the pod light controller. I'm going to get that wired through the firewall and figure out where I'm going to put it in the cab of the truck. And I'm sweating. I will show you guys what that looks like once I have it all done. Another update for you. I've gotten the controller switch all wired up. So it's going to be tough to show you, but I'll try and demonstrate with my finger where it goes. So back here, obviously we still have the relay tucked in right there. Brighten this up for you. And the wire coming off of it right there is for the controller. So that basically connects right up to the controller wire, which runs all along here, just down below right here. It goes behind the little brake booster right here, up and over. And then if you can see that grommet right there, the previous owner kind of did a number on that grommet, and it's more open than it really should be, but you can see that wire that's going straight down. That's actually for my, what is it called? My reverse camera. And then that wire also going in there is for the pod light controller. So that little grommet on the inside down by the pedals is right about there. And then that kind of long cylindric piece there is actually the e-brake cable, but the cable itself is surrounded by a metal encasing. So I basically zip tied the wire to that and then zip tied it one more time up on that side of that cable mount. And then the cable comes up the steering column to about there and runs across. Right there, you can see the wire coming out, and that is where I mounted the actual control unit. So got access to both buttons. It's really hidden. So from the steering wheel, you really won't even see it. And it's also on the same side as the headlight switch. So I figured that's kind of convenient. I can toss on my headlights and with the same side, hit the pod lights if I need to. Also, just a tip, I thought it would be a good idea because I used the sticky pad to basically mount this thing. And I hit the plastic with some rubbing alcohol and it kind of discolored the plastic. So I quickly wiped it down with some degreaser, which I wasn't sure why, but hoped it would fix it, and it honestly did. So if you were going to do this, I would not recommend using rubbing alcohol to degrease the plastic. I would actually just use like a wax, like a all-purpose cleaner or something. That seemed to do the trick instead of discoloring the plastic. This step is probably not necessary, but I wanted to show it to you guys anyways. So I took some heat shrink and just wrapped up each of these little cables here. That way, just because they're exposed wire, I don't know if the power would be running to them, but I didn't want to risk it. So I just wrapped them up on themselves and then put some heat shrink wrap on them. So that was just a little tidbit there for you, a little tip. Not sure if it's necessary, but better safe than sorry. Next, all we have to do is wire up the power cable. I've already got the negative, just ran right onto the negative post there. And then I'm gonna hook up the power and then tidy up this last bit of the harness. And that's it. I'll probably go through and tighten the lights back up in a better angle, put the grill back on, and then we can turn these bad Larrys on and see how they look. Okay folks, the install is done, and I just tried them out to make sure they work so that way I wasn't disappointing anyone on camera. However, if you guys are interested in picking up a set of these, Novsight was kind enough to give you guys a promo code. I will throw it up on the screen as well as down in the description. A little discount code, save you guys some funds. But I'm gonna go ahead and start going through the modes on these. I'm gonna start without the lenses and then we'll kind of work our way through everything. And I've got you guys kind of off center so that way you don't just get absolutely blinded because these things are really bright. So the first click is going to be white halos. Yes. The next one's going to be the yellow halos. Heck yeah. And then if we hit in my case, it'd be the top button, it's going to turn on the floodlights. Absolutely bright. Oh my gosh. With the headlights on, hopefully it's not too blinding. There's the headlights with the yellow halos and then with the white halos, which I think will probably look really sharp just to match the headlights. And then if we turn on the floods as well, frick it, let's just turn on the high beams. It is so bright. I can't even tell you. And then I'll toss on these amber lenses, which, by the way, it's just so satisfying putting these on. I don't know if this was that intentional, but the clicks are just so nice. Wait. Yes, so nice. So we'll do the same cycle. So this would technically be the white halos through the amber lens. Looks like that. And then the yellow halos through the amber lens. Pretty darn orange. And then we can turn on the floodlights through the amber lens. Very yellow. Totally changes the output. It's so cool. And yellow is going to be good for like cutting through fog, that sort of thing. And then if I turn on the headlights, that's what that looks like. Turn the floods off, and then you've got headlights with the amber halos, and then the white through the amber lenses. So that looks pretty freaking cool. I'm going to put on the blackout lenses just so you can see what that looks like all installed. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. What's your favorite style? Do you like? I really like the clear on clear and the black, and it just looks really, really clean. But I do love the look of these. Function-wise, I think these are going to be super awesome off-road. But just to show you, I want to put on these lenses, or I guess they're more just like caps. They don't really, there's no light coming through it after you put these on. Sweet. There you have it. What a clean install. This is just with the white halos, the yellow halos, and then, wow, that is the flood. That is crazy. I do not have headlights on at all right now. And maybe you can see they're aimed just a little funky, so I'll have to adjust that. But let me go ahead and show you the amber lenses. That is so freaking cool. I honestly wouldn't even need to run headlights. That is so bright, but let's go ahead and turn the headlights on as well. High beams and floodlights. That's all the light output this truck has. How freaking cool is that? And just to show you, I'll turn the floodlights off. And that's what we have for just regular old headlight output. That would be the high beams, regular headlights with the floodlights. I'm freaking excited about these. I am really excited, and honestly, these were so much fun to install. Like, I really enjoyed the cleanliness of it all, like really taking my time to make sure that all the wiring was tucked. This bumper install came out way better than I thought it would, and I'm really glad I went with doing it on the bumpers instead of the roof rack. I'm really stoked with it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you guys want to go scoop up a set of these are the 6-inch pod lights with the halos. I went with the floodlight combo, I guess that is technically what it's called, versus the ditch light. So check it out, guys. Link in the freaking description with a promo code for you. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. Keep elevating, my friends. Adios.